it's your broker Shannon. So you have a rental property and you want to sell it for top dollar. I'm going to walk you through some basic steps on what you need to do to make sure that you are protected and that your tenant is still keeping up with their obligations. So let's get right into it. This can certainly apply to you no matter where you are, but I'm specifically speaking to my folks in the Atlanta metro area. And so right now, Atlanta is still showing all of the signs of a seller's market. And if you've been looking at the numbers in Atlanta, you are thinking that this is an opportune time to sell. And if it's done correctly, if your home is marketed correctly, and if you do a lot of prep work up front, it can sell quickly with a tenant in it, and you can still sell for top dollar. And so I want to kind of go over, some of those steps with you on, what you can do to prep your home, all that good stuff. So if you've been paying attention to the numbers, you know that home prices over the past 10 years in this metro area have shot up something like 200%. And to be honest, rent is right there with it. Rents have increased, dramatically over the past 2 years, really. Over the past 2 years, rents have increased. And so what you want to do, you're thinking, okay, maybe I can make some extra cash because we are in the seller's market. I've got a tenant in place. It is income producing. It's going to make my property more attractive. What I can tell you based on experience, out of the number of times that I've gone to a property that's for sale and there's a tenant in place, if it hasn't been done right up front, it has been one of the most difficult transactions. It's even difficult to even go see the property before we can even put in an offer on it, before I can have my investor that's interested in purchasing or my first time buyer that's interested in purchasing this home. It's been kind of difficult, and that's usually because a lot of the prep work to get this home that has a tenant in place, that hasn't been done up front. And I don't want that to happen to you, so I'm going to walk you through some things that can make your life a lot easier if you do these things. So you definitely want to start with the lease, okay? Because that lease will let you know your rights and tenant obligations. And so if you are trying to sell your home and you got a tenant in place, can you evict them? Can you give them notice? All of that should be spelled out in your lease. And then you definitely want to refer to the Georgia Tenant Handbook to go over any type of regulations. So let's start with those two documents first to determine how we're going to move forward with the sale of your property. After you have reviewed your lease and that Georgia Tenant Handbook, you want to engage your client. Think about the strategy that you're going to use when it's time to put that house on the market. I'm a big believer in planning, and so whether you're buying or selling, it still needs to be planned out. So I'm going to give you a couple of options that you can just think about. So ask your tenant, do they want to purchase the home? They're already living in the home. They're already comfortable with the home. They know what needs to be repaired. They know what light switch doesn't work right. So ask them if they're interested in purchasing. Oftentimes those transactions go really smooth. So check with your tenant that you already have in place. Next, you want to offer cash for keys. And that is, maybe your tenant is like, you know what, since you're selling, I don't want to buy. Can I move out early? Can I terminate? What's going to happen, etc. Or maybe you aren't comfortable with selling with a tenant in place. Offer them cash for keys. It's going to serve a couple of purposes. One, your tenant will probably need help with moving expenses if they're moving out early, if the lease has expired. So they'll get help with that. And then the tenant is happy. There's less likely for there to be damage to your property because you are assisting them with moving. You can also sell while the tenant is there. Some investors don't mind, a tenant in place. They just want to know all of the financials that's involved with your rental property. And so you can still list it. You can still have showings. You want to make sure that you let your tenant know that people will coming by and et cetera, et cetera. So sell with the tenant in place. You can also just wait until the lease expires. And so if you are coming to the decision that you want to sell your home and that lease is getting ready to end, Wait until it expires. You can still prep the home and, you know, kind of get the buzz going out there, but wait until it expires before you decide to go full-fledged with it. Now, this part is essential when we're talking about putting your house on the market with the tenant in place. First thing, you definitely want to check with your tax professional. Or your accountant. You definitely want to see what type of tax implications is this going to have. Are there going to be any disadvantages or advantages? So discuss with your tax professional on, you know, how is this going to impact you. You definitely want to have a buyer packet ready. And when I mean buyer packet, I mean, if this is going to be this is going to be an investor that's purchasing your rental property because it is an investment property, you want to have things like your profit and loss statement available, rent rolls, all that stuff that's going to help them determine if this is going to be a good investment for them. If this is a first-time buyer, obviously we want to have those things such as, you know, any type of work that's been done, any type of disclosures that's going to impact or influence, you know, whether they're going to purchase this home or not. So you want to get your buyer packet together, and what type of buyer packet you get together determines the type of buyer that you're going to have. Also, any type of necessary repairs that need to be done, let's go ahead and have those taken care of. We don't want any type of pushback on price and what you're asking, so let's get those taken care of up front. Now, I am going to say that pricing your rental property is an art and a science. It's a collaborative effort. And so, but if it's done correctly, whether it is a rental property or you're selling it to a traditional buyer, if we do it correctly, you will get a fair price and it will sell fast. So if you have any questions about selling your rental property, or if you are not sure which direction you want to go with your rental property, let's have a conversation. We do offer property management services at Shannon, Ellis and Associates Realty. And so we'll be happy to evaluate, you know, where some things are short, where you can improve on, and we'll give you an honest answer on whether you need to sell or whether it's better for you to hold it. So hopefully this helps. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great one.